Lakeview Village is a hidden treasure.
Most of the residents are in independent living, and so they're really a physically active community.
And I don't have a big support system except for my financial advisor. And she said, Penny, I don't care where you go. I just want you to go to a life care program.
I've been at Lakeview Village 5 years. We came to Lakeview Village when we were 70. I like that it's a place where we can stay and be cared for.
And the thing about Lakeview is if you qualify financially and especially medically, they will take care of you for the rest of your life.
The community's been here about 58 years, and I thought that's some longevity.
I thought it was a little early for us to come here. But after about 6 months, I realized, no, you need to come to Lakeview as quick as you can because there's so much stuff to do here. There's more things to do here than you got time to do.
Art, music, writing, poetry and prose, card playing clubs, exercise groups.
Well, the first thing that I saw over here was the indoor warm water, 68 degree swimming pool, salt water. And so my exercise is getting up in the morning and going over to Heritage and swimming my mile.
There are always activities going on. If I want to go to the theater, to the opera, to the symphony, I can sign up for a bus and not have to worry about the parking or the driving and come back.
A few of us who are interested gathered together to talk about creating Lakeview Village University, taught by our residents. Can't bring somebody else in to do it. You teach it to financial aid things by people who know what they're talking about, to a woman who has featured just come bring your favorite music. But this is kind of special when it's really taught by people who've lived their lives in that field doing some things.
And they encourage people to have pets because it keeps you more active.
And people are extremely friendly.
I go downstairs at 6 o'clock every night, eat dinner with interesting people who have had different life experiences than I've had, some who have had similar life experiences that I've had.
There were all kinds of housing options from single-family homes to high-rise apartments. And when I toured this building, the North Point building, I was shown an apartment on the 5th floor facing the lake that's behind me, and that did it.
The tower had my living, and it had my studio, it had the restaurant, it had the workout space.
One of my concerns about staying in my house even past 75, how difficult it had become to find a repairman, to find someone to help with plumbing or a new countertop or whatever.
I don't want to take care of a house anymore. I don't want to mow the yard, I don't want to have it painted, I don't want to replace a water heater, I don't want to do any of that stuff.
The guys are out plowing the road first thing in the morning.
The other thing that I really love about living at Lakeview Village is that it's lock and go for travel.
We have 24-hour security. We know all of the people that work security.
We have a bookstore, we have a bank, we have restaurants.
For me, I wanted to make sure I was in a place where I did have community, and I certainly have found a wonderful community here.
Lakeview Village is in a quiet location. It doesn't have highways zooming past. It feels like a neighborhood.
I always, when I walk around, it's like it has that small town feel to it. You know, like my hometown where I was born. And I love that feeling.
And I would encourage anybody that's even contemplating it, come to Lakeview. We are not your mother's retirement home.
Hello there, and welcome to this special virtual event by Lakeview Village. Today, we're talking about how does my long-term care insurance work with a life care community. Thanks so much for being with us today. Perhaps you're contemplating a move to Lakeview Village. Perhaps you're thinking, well, I got long-term care insurance. Do the two of those even work together? Well, today we hope to get all of your questions answered, and hopefully when we're done, you'll walk away with a much better understanding of how that long-term care insurance policy could work with a community like Lakeview Village. So we appreciate your being here. My name is Valissa Smith, by the way. I am your facilitator for this today. And of course, I'm not going to be the one presenting you with all the smart information. That is going to be coming from our featured speaker. If by chance you are not familiar with Lakeview Village, this is an incredible 100-acre community that sits inside Lenexa, Kansas. It's like you would drive by on some of the side streets and not even know that it's in here. It is this beautiful neighborhood, beautiful lake, just like the name says, and a lot of many different housing options, and really a great place to visit. So we certainly encourage you to definitely swing through here sometime, set up an appointment to come meet with somebody, because the folks here are incredible at Lakeview Village. Our guest today, let's get to him. Heath, how you doing?
Great.
Heath Luke is the Chief Financial Officer here at Lakeview Village. You were a CPA for 10-some years with or was it that long? Probably longer than that, with a top 10 firm, right?
Right, it was about 10 years.
Was it about 10 years? You've been in this industry then since, 2012, here at Lakeview since 2019. So you've been doing this a little while.
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have. That's right. Well, we're at the beginning of the new year. How are things going so far at Lakeview?
They're going great. We got a lot going on campus, a lot of different projects, a lot of different initiatives we have going on here. So just looking forward to this new year.
Yeah, a lot of remodeling. I've heard a little construction around here, and things like that are going on as well. Plus just all the incredible programs that you guys offer, or the residents all put together, I know, here at Lakeview. So there's always something exciting going on around here.
Always something exciting. And, we're always trying to think outside the box, and, we listen to the needs of our residents and our prospects. So as things change, we try to change too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to get to the big question of the day. Are you ready?
Sure.
The big question. How does long-term care insurance work with the life care community like Lakeview Village? Take it away, Keith.
Well, that's a great question. There's going to be a lot of different things that we cover today. So just want to start out with probably the disclaimer here. This presentation is really for educational and informational purposes only. I am a former CPA. I do work here at Lakeview. But I would say, all long-term care insurance policies are different, usually in some form of fashion. There's a lot of different ways they can be interpreted. There's a lot of different ways they were written when they were originated. So what I would say is you're probably familiar with the insurance agency that sold it to you. That's always a good place to get some information. But your financial advisors, your CPAs, they are usually well-versed in long-term care insurance. So just know this is for informational purposes, because everybody's situation and everybody's policy is a little bit different. So the main goal here is we're going to try to give you a better understanding of how they work, things to ask, what things you need to be aware of, and really, how you can utilize that at a community like Lakeview, or if you don't come to a community like Lakeview, maybe those things that you can ask and how it can be utilized out there in the general public, some things to consider. So hopefully, the main goal is when we get done here, you have a better understanding of maybe the policy that you purchased, and then a really good idea of what are the questions I need to ask, just because you probably purchased these policies years ago, and now you're starting to think about, what do I have? How does this work? So always a good time to kind of reconcile potentially what you purchased. So, probably where we need to start is the key components of a life care community. This is just going to give us a better understanding of kind of what's all included and what a life plan community and how that may, these different components would work. So I kind of broke it up into like 5 different areas that I feel are the key components. One being insurance. So we'll kind of break this one apart a little bit, because this can be, expanded quite a bit, but this is kind of the section of that pie that we're going to break into and really talk about long-term care insurance. Then we have contract types. this is really a presentation of its own, and we do an education series on contract types, but I am going to give you a little bit of the information that you need today to kind of look at how that long-term care insurance policy plays into the different contract types. A few things on contract types that I just would like to highlight is we are talking about life care. We are talking about life plan communities. The term life care or continuing care in the marketplace can be used rather loosely. By definition, to be called a life care community, you really just need to offer certain services on your campus, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have a life care contract. So, I would just say that, be real cautious on these contract types, and that's why we really go in depth in a further education series on what that really may mean and how that may play in with your long-term care insurance policy. So the other aspect or another key component is the financial benefit of a life care community. Probably some of the highlights under this is, under a traditional life care contract, you're either going to fix that future cost or you're going to get a discount on that future cost. So these are some of the financial benefits that really play into that key component of a life plan community. Really the financial benefit really comes with the various contract types and how that may play into your future care. Then we have lifestyles and amenities. This is very important. This is a section of the pie that I would say you really have to look under the hood. You have to come out to Lakeview. You have to experience the different amenities and lifestyles that we offer. The resident programs, the pool, the meals, the dining venues, the resident gardens, the walking trails, the lakes, all of those amenities, all of those lifestyle options and what that community really offers, because even though we're talking about long-term care insurance today, when you buy into a community like Lakeview, that's what you're going to get day to day, right? That's what you're getting out of the community, and that's where you really become a part of the community, and that's really what really adds that big value that necessarily you can't put a dollar amount on, but that's where you really reap the benefit of coming to an organization like Lakeview. And then that last pie that I have up there is as access to healthcare. This is becoming even more and more prevalent in today's market. We have skilled nursing providers leaving the market. As you're searching for care, getting access to that care, really a community like Lakeview, a life plan community that has the full continuum of care. The nice thing is you have that guaranteed access to health care under a life care contract. And we're promising to have that space available for you when you need that higher level of care. We get actuarially looked at. We know exactly how many beds we need in assisted living and in skilled nursing. So as the market has changed in the last few years and individuals have exited healthcare, that access to healthcare becomes very important, especially as you look at your time on a life plan community. When it comes time to access healthcare, you don't want to be thinking about where you need to go. Those decisions have already been made. So I'd say, those are really some of what I define the key components of a life care community, and we're really going to explore the insurance one today. Now let's get right into the different insurance types, because this is really important to kind of understand the full picture here and making sure that we kind of understand where long-term care insurance fits in. Kind of on my first bullet here, it's the Medicare and Medicare Advantage plans. These plans are going to be for your day-to-day healthcare services. There's really going to be no long-term care coverage with Medicare. So the Medicare plans are your health insurance, but there's no room and board covered there. So the second one is you have your Medicare supplemental plans. These are your Part Cs, your Part Ds. There's no long-term care coverage here. These usually are purchased by individuals to help offset other costs such as prescriptions and other items. So you have your supplemental plan. So I kind of look at those first two as our Medicare. That's our traditional health insurance for seniors. So they're not going to cover long-term care. They're not going to cover an assisted living stay. They're not going to cover a skilled nursing stay. They will cover a short-term stay. So if you have a hip, knee, or need rehab, Medicare will cover that, but that's usually on like a 14 or 21 day. There's usually a very short time frame on that. It's not going to cover any long-term care. And then we have the long-term care insurance, and that's really what we're going to expand on here in this presentation. And that long-term care insurance coverage really is established to supplement those Medicare plans, because it's going to pick up the room and board. It's going to pick up potentially home health. It's going to pick up some of those ancillary charges in assisted living or skilled nursing. So that really is your protection for long-term care. That's why they call it long-term care insurance. And then we have Medicaid. I just want to highlight this one. This is our state-funded programs. These are usually for your low-income individuals, or if individuals become insolvent, that Medicaid covers that room and board. So that's what I kind of look at like as what type of insurance is out there for seniors, and what different components they may access. And you're going to access your Medicare for your daily needs, and then you're going to access your long-term care insurance for your longer stays or your home health stays. And we'll kind of break that apart a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into the definitions or key terms of a long-term care insurance policy. So I kind of bulleted all this out, and really, first thing on the list is the elimination period. This elimination period is basically similar to a deductible. These are usually stated in the terms of days. So an elimination period may be 30, 60, 90, or 120 days. And what that means is those first days of that long-term care stay. So if you go in assisted living, you may need to be there for 90 days before and pay yourself out of pocket before that long-term care insurance policy is going to kick in. So that's why they call it that elimination period. And really those were put in the policies because two reasons. One, actuarially, and the insurance groups figured, the front end of the stay usually is shorter, depending on is it going to be a long-term stay. So look at that as kind of like your deductible when it comes time to use the plan. That's kind of the way I look at it. The daily benefit, this is huge. This is how much it's going to pay you. And a lot of times these daily benefits, or we talk about daily benefits, are stated in terms of truly a daily rate, which is why we call it a daily benefit. However, some policies have defined it as a monthly benefit, and it may pay one fixed dollar a month for the month. But really, when you look into your policy, that daily benefit's going to be that dollar amount that you ultimately are going to receive to help cover that room and board and the ancillary charges that you may have as you utilize healthcare. Then we have a maximum benefit, or that benefit period. Another big thing in these policies is they are an insurance product. I've seen policies that don't have a defined benefit, which is very rare. We call those really rich policies, but most likely the benefit period is going to be defined by either a time frame, like 5 years, 3 years, or a maximum number of days, or the other side of it would be a maximum dollar amount. So depending on how that policy is used, they usually go hand in hand based on the daily rate and the number of days utilized. That maximum benefit is usually a calculation based on either a time or daily benefit. And that's really good to know, because as you're doing your financial planning, you probably want to know, if I were in a skilled stay or I utilize this plan for 3-4 years, what does that mean? And that's where we'll talk about how we can marry a long-term care insurance policy to help further backstop that defined benefit. The level of care is going to be defined in that policy. The level of care is going to break out when and where can I use this policy? Can I use it for private duty, which private duty would be pretty much what it says is you bring in a private duty nurse or private duty individual that's providing those services. Some of these policies allow that. There are some certain caveats in there and what needs to be met, but private duty may or may not be in your policy. It's not necessarily required. Sometimes it was a selection on the front end on private duty. So you'd have to look at your policy. The other one is they also have some policies, and most policies have caregiver support. So if your spouse is providing support, some of these policies actually carve out some benefit for that and what that may look like in there. So that's really a policy specific, but that's something else that you may want to get in tune to if you have a joint policy, or if you're thinking about how I may utilize this policy. And then the other levels of care would be pretty defined as it covers you for home health. The home health benefit I've been seeing more and more, but it's not in every policy. That is a very good benefit because it really allows you to age in place longer, but still access that long-term care insurance policy. That home care benefit or home health benefit usually has a different benefit period, usually maybe has a different elimination examination period. So depending on how your policy's written, would really need to kind of look into the nuts and bolts of that to see if that even is a component, and then how is that component going to be paid out and utilized. And then assisted living and skilled nursing. These policies really, that's what they were built for. They were built to cover those long-term care stays and long-term care and skilled nursing. So that's kind of where the level of cares come in. Then you may have a benefit and inflation rider. So this would have been purchased on the front end of the plan, and ultimately you're going to be paying additional upfront, or your premium may have a component in it related to an inflationary rider. And so if you purchase this plan, let's say back in the early 2000s, it would have had a daily benefit stated. So let's say maybe that daily benefit stated was $100 or $150. With an inflation rider, you would have paid more on the premium or potentially more upfront. What that really does is that daily benefit then increases with inflation. So as the price of skilled nursing and assisted living has graduated up, so has your daily benefit. So those were very common. It was probably offered to you at the time that you purchased the plan. You may or may not have purchased that. It's not needed. It just kind of graduates that maximum benefit, and it's something just to be aware of. Then we really have our annual premium. I've seen this all across the board. I've seen the annual premiums come as fixed. So then along with inflation riders, there would have been a rider for the premium to say this premium is set at X dollar amount for X number of years. Some rare, it does exist. Others, the annual premium kind of graduates as the policy ages. And then, the annual premiums right now, there's a lot of noise in the market. We have several residents with long-term care insurance policies here. These long-term care insurance providers have gone back to their actuaries, their accountants, looked at the plan and said, what do we really need to be charging for the premium in order to make sure that this group of policies is still somewhat profitable, or we're still able to service this benefit. So that's where those annual premiums may graduate up. And then what we've seen in the last few years is these insurance companies have sent large premium increases with inflation has gone. And they've usually laid out different options, which can be really, really hard for the policyholder to navigate through. What do I do? Is there a policy? Option A is this, to where I get this benefit, but my premium's fixed. Option B may be that, and option C is another scenario. And then I've even seen them to where they've had options to where they've been able to offer to cash out value, saying if you just want to walk away, here's the cash value that we'd be willing to give you, kind of like life insurance, a whole life insurance policy. So that's been kind of rare. So I would say look for those notices. They usually come out annually, kind of depends on when that policy year is. They're very tricky to navigate. I've met with several people on these notices here at Lakeview, and we've kind of evaluated their options, looked at kind of what that means to them, because sometimes depending on the option you select, it could mean exponential future, opening you up to exponential future premium increases. And you really got to look at that in a couple different fashions. Where do I sit financially? Look at it from a financial planning standpoint. How much of that premium can I absorb? But then also, maybe thinking about where you're at in your healthcare continuum, and maybe you're closer to potentially needing to access that policy. So it may be worth it to go forward with some of these options. So that's really a big thing to look for.
Couple of quick questions, if I can right now. That was a lot of information.
Yeah,
everybody's policy is different. You just laid all that out there. How do we find all of that within our policy, Heath?
That's a great question. I probably should have started there. You're really going to find that in your full policy on the policy declaration page. There's a couple different ways to kind of look at that. You probably got it when you first executed the policy, and now that's 10, 15, maybe even 20 years outdated. So sometimes when you get your annual premium notice, if you're getting those, they actually send you an updated policy declaration page to say, here's what your current daily benefit is, and here's kind of your level of the different levels that you can utilize the plan for. But if you haven't gotten one of those, I would say you probably need to ask requests from your insurance company or whoever that policy is written with. You can just reach out to the number on there and they can get you a fully executed policy. And if you don't have one, I would definitely, that's one of the things I always recommend is get that policy, get that in your file, and let's see what that declaration page looks like. And we should have a fairly current declaration page so we know what that benefit may be. But really, I would say that it's something that you should be looking at annually, especially if you have that inflation rider, because those numbers are changing. So.
And then I have another quick question for you. Now, folks who are watching, they may not have made a decision yet about whether or not they're going to come to Lakeview Village. Will you look at somebody's policy anyway, Heath? Folks, do they bring these to you even if they haven't made a commitment to come to Lakeview?
Yes, they do. They bring them to our team, and our sales and marketing team is well versed in long-term care insurance. Our sales counselors are pretty well educated in all of this. We've gone through the declaration pages. They understand the definitions and benefits. They're very familiar with our continuum, so they know how this policy is going to get utilized here at Lakeview. So really, reach out to the sales and marketing team. That's what we do. That's what we like to do. Even if you're not looking at Lakeview, we'd be glad to have that discussion with you, because what I always recommend to individuals is let's build what I call a memo to our personal file, our long-term care insurance file. Just a short and sweet memo like, who do I call when I need a claim? What's my daily benefit? How do I plan to utilize this policy? Because when it comes time to pull this policy out of the file and utilize it, it's nice when maybe your adult children or your spouse, you kind of already mapped it out for them. And you don't really want to be thinking about that at the time that you're ready to access the policy. So what I always recommend is let's get together with the sales and marketing team. Let's kind of maybe build those milestones and those bullet points. It can be real simple to just write on your declaration page some of the key things to consider. And then that way, when it comes time to utilize that plan, you've kind of already road mapped it out. And that's just, I think, a little bit of a good planning tool, because a lot of times when it comes time to need that, you need long-term care, and that's the time that someone else is usually trying to help you navigate through the continuum. So
great advice.
All right.
Okay, carry on.
Carry on. Okay, so all that we've kind of started out, have kind of developed the components. We went through the insurance types, hit those definitions of the long-term care insurance policy. So we've kind of built the framework, and now let's get into how does this work with a life care contract, like Lakeview's. It's going to add a lot of value, and here's where those value points are. One, it could potentially help you qualify for a life care. So when an individual prospect comes to look at Lakeview, we're making a promise to take care of that individual for the rest of their life. So we look at you financially, we look at you medically. When I financially qualify an individual, we model it out and we say if this individual has a life expectancy of 15 years, under the current rates, under their current assets, will they be able to financially be stable here? Then they would qualify. But let's say someone lives 20 years. They've outlived their resources. You're under a life care contract at Lakeview. We don't ask you to leave your unit. We subsidize that care. So that's a big value. But then on the front end, how it may help is if you don't have a whole bunch of assets or not a lot of income, could be one or the other, we may plug this long-term care insurance into the model, and I'm using that as an income stream when you're in assisted and skilled. So it has moved the needle for prospects to qualify for life care. So it can add a lot of value there on the front end. The other one, it can hopefully provide, if your policy has it, home care while in independent living. So I was talking of private duty, home health. If your policy has those items in there, which a lot of policies do, I would say most policies have them in rather than not have them in. They allow you to age in place, right? You have your independent living unit, your villa, cottage, apartment, and you can bring in that supplemental home health care, that private duty, and further utilize your time in independent living. So that's a real big add of that value value add of those services. And Lakeview has a licensed home health agency, and we partner with the private duty agency here on campus. So those services exist right here. So when it's time to access those services, we're not going through the yellow pages, we're not searching on the internet, it's right here. And that care coordination becomes even more valuable with Life Care. And that's usually the first point is I'm seeing some degeneration. I need help a few days a week. If we can utilize this long-term care insurance policy to help you pay for some of those services, that's going to make you stay in independent living even longer here on Lakeview. And that we think that is a positive thing because our main objective is to keep people healthy and in their homes. The other thing with the Life Care contract, depending on how that maximum benefit is laid out, whether it's a dollar amount or time frame, because you've bought a discount, you've fixed those future healthcare costs, it could potentially extend that benefit of your long-term care insurance policy. So that could definitely add some value as you look to access your long-term care insurance policy. And then really some of the other big things that we see these policies really help out with and really work well with our Life Care product is those minor additional costs that you have when you move into the higher level of care. So just one to note is when you're in independent living here at Lakeview and in most communities, you either have a dining dollar or you get a meal credit. Well, ours is based on 1 meal a day. So you get 1 meal a day in independent living, dinner, lunch, and that's kind of the meal you get. But when you move to assisted or skilled, we're required to provide you 3 meals a day. So one of the additional costs is that additional meals. If you have long-term care insurance, that long-term care insurance will cover those meals, and so that'll help further reduce any financial exposure when you access healthcare. So that becomes a real powerful tool, especially as you access those services. And there's some some peripheral costs, the ancillary stuff, could be briefs or other items that you may need, and these policies fully cover that.
So Heath, Susie has a quick question here that she sent in, and she wants to know, she says, I don't have a long-term care policy. Should she go buy one? Can you function at Lakeview or a long-term care community without one? Is it too late to buy one? What would be your recommendation on that?
Well, that's kind of depends on where Susie's at, kind of in basically what Susie's age is, right? A lot of these long-term care policies were purchased by individuals in their 50s and early 60s. Usually you can't find a long-term care insurance policy when you become retirement age. Okay. But if you can, the premiums are usually pretty high. Just like anything, it's one of those things, you can't really go buy insurance the day that you need it. So, and it is a time frame model. They need so many years of premium in order for this policy to be financially stable. So it's not that you can't find those policies, but if you would find one, depending on where you're at in age, it could be somewhat cost prohibitive. And then you'd kind of have to look at that daily benefit on something that, am I going to need skilled nursing or not? So it's kind of, it's a fine balance there, and it really is applicable to the individual person. The nice thing about Lakeview is you don't need long-term care insurance here, and our Life Care product really, in some regard, is kind of like long-term care insurance. You've fixed that monthly service fee, you fix that potential exposure to health care, and really that's where the Lakeview value comes under the Life Care contract, and it really gives individuals the opportunity to insure a portion of their future healthcare costs. And we really dive into how those healthcare costs graduate and what the different contract types and kind of what a Lakeview contract type looks and what others look like. And so the Lakeview Type A contract that we offer does function in similarities to long-term care insurance in some regard, except I would say we don't have a maximum benefit. Our Life Care comes with, we'll take care of you for the rest of your life, even if you become insolvent. Now, I use that lightly in respect to you can't move in go gamble all your money away or give it all away and then expect us to fulfill our contractual obligation. Usually our promise there is for individuals that have outlived their assets, and that's just a really good value of a life plan community.
So for Susie, if she checks the box with her health and her financials, you don't need long-term care insurance, right?
You don't.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Great. I kind of want to finish the presentation with highlighting life care organizations, life care contracts. Any senior living provider can call themselves a life care organization if they offer the continuum of care. That's not necessarily, that doesn't relate to the life care contract. A life care contract that is offered by a senior living provider provides you access to that continuum. A life care contract will usually provide you a benefit in the continuum, a discount, a fixed fee rate. So just kind of note that organizations that, maybe some that offer highly refundable contracts refer to themselves as a life care organization, say we have life care, but all you're really buying is really just a rental agreement and a highly refundable contract that when you go to access that higher level of care and you need money to pay for that care, they're going to start using that refund to pay themselves as you access healthcare. So I always caveat that some organizations are using the term life care and life care contract very loosely. A true life care contract, we're promising you those higher level of care. We're defining what your potential exposure may be. Maybe, it's a fixed amount when you graduate into a higher level of care. Maybe it's a discount on those future service fees. So I really break that apart in the contract, life care contract and contract type presentation. But I just want everybody to just kind of be cognizant of that. And one of the things about Lakeview here is we have a very strong billing department. So our billing department is constantly in communication with insurance companies. We actually do the long-term care insurance filing for several of our residents when they're in healthcare. So it's not a burden on your family. It's not a burden on your spouse. We run the statements. We have the policy. We initiate it. It makes it much more seamless for you. And that's where I kind of want to transfer into the Lakeview Village Advantage. What kind of comes along? Well, we've been here in business nearly 60 years. Insurance companies know the Lakeview Village name. We file a long-term care insurance claim with Genworth on the East Coast. They're familiar with Lakeview. They look us up, they look our Medicare number up, they see we're a 5-star facility. They're going to accept our documentation. So that becomes really powerful to our residents because it makes it that much easier to navigate through the bureaucracy of it's time to utilize this long-term care insurance policy. Lakeview Village is behind you. And I'd say the other thing is we do have the full continuum here. I've been highlighting that. That is what we're offering. Our life care contract covers assisted living. It covers skilled nursing. And then we really offer you the support to navigate through the continuum. Care coordination is huge. Haven't really hit on it, and we've talked about, we've really got in the nuts and bolts of the long-term care insurance policy and how you may utilize it. But one thing we haven't really talked about is how you're going to navigate that continuum, right? You're out there in the community, you live in your home, it's time to utilize these services. More and more I'm hearing now with the current market conditions, it's very hard to navigate the continuum. What assisted living has beds? Well, this one in the northern part of the city, we have availability, but my whole family lives in Johnson County, or, I can't afford this one, or this one, doesn't have any availability. I mean, there's all these components, and then you have to really look under, what's their staffing ratios? Are they a 5-star community? So that care coordination, when it comes time, that's a valuable tool here. So if you buy a life care contract, you're here, the care coordination's done. You pick up the phone and call our social worker and say, hey, I'm going in for a hip. I need a 21-day stay rehab. No problem. We'll get you. We're going to get you on the admissions. When are you coming back? I mean, the care coordination is becoming more and more valuable, that we can talk about having these long-term care insurance policies. But if you don't have a plan and you don't have all of the decisions made, you're having to make big decisions in a very short period of time, right? No one wants to decide, I'm going to move to this assisted living facility. Well, how long are you going to be in that assisted living? You're making a decision that you may have to make rather quickly, but it may be a year, 2-3 year long decision. So care coordination is huge, and that Lakeview Village Advantage, basically, it's planned out for you.
Yeah, as an adult child, I will just say that is so, so true. And what a gift you're giving to your adult child.
Yes.
By saying, okay, it's done, we're here, and all is taken care of. Because, yeah, trying to navigate all of that out there right now is really, really tough.
It is. That care coordination, actually, the value that you could put on that, you can't put a dollar amount on that because you don't really know how hard it is to navigate the current environment until you start making those calls. I mean, there's a lot of tools out there, but I will say making that decision to come to Lakeview, knowing your continuum of care here, knowing you have, we have physician group on campus, knowing we have rehab pool, it's all here.
It's huge.
You take that burden off yourself, you take that burden off your family,
right.
And you can really start to enjoy, like I was saying, the lifestyles and amenities.
Right.
Because you plan for it.
Right.
I'm good to go. Lakeview's been here 60 years. We're going to, be here for at least another 60 and continue to fulfill that promise that we've made.
That's huge. We've got several questions that we
Okay.
want to get to. Okay, so this one here, this is from Jerry. Jerry says, I have paid for this policy for years. Will I get full use of my long-term care policy if I move to Lakeview Village?
Yes. It's a great question. Like I was mentioning, it could actually help you extend that benefit. And it may, there's, like I was talking just about care coordination and the Lakeview Village advantage of having, our billing department and the whole community behind you. It really bolsters that product that you have. You can utilize the home health if it has it in there, assisted living's there. So absolutely, it really, truly doesn't change the long-term care insurance benefit. If anything, it extends it. And if, the other point is it allows you to access it earlier with the services we have here on campus.
Cool. Rosemary's question, you kind of hit on this right before this, but Rosemary wants to know, why would I live in a life care community if I already have long-term care insurance? And you kind of talked about that.
Yeah, and I would say it comes down to the care coordination. And then also, really with our product and a traditional true life care contract, it really allows you to reap the full benefits of that long-term care insurance policy. A lot of times you'll find, because you're not in a continuum, you delay going to the higher level of care. You may delay bringing into home health services. But when you're plugged into a continuum like this and you have this long-term care insurance policy, you're going to use it. And that's what we're here for, is we want you to start pulling those benefits out of that policy. And it really actually takes out some of the roadblocks into getting access to that benefit.
This one is a little similar to that. It's from Rita. She wants to know, when would my long-term care insurance benefits start if I live in a community like Lakeview Village?
We're going to have to go back to the policy on that one. It could start for home health or private duty. Most likely, though, it's really going to start when you go in assisted living.
Okay.
When you're in assisted living and you're on a permanent stay, after you hit that elimination period, that's when it's going to start.
Carl and Jim, a similar question here. They want to know where can they get pricing on the entry fees and the monthly fees, which is a little bit different than what we've been talking about here.
Right. It's a great question. You're going to have to reach out to your sales counselors or reach out to our sales team, primarily because all the units are a wide variety of price ranges, and it's also developed on unit type. So different buildings have different prices based on the amenities or style of that building. Cottages and villas are a little bit different. The one thing I would say, though, is we have this great tool on our website. It's called Money Gauge. It allows you just to do a really quick, here's my estimate of my assets, here's the estimate of my monthly income, Social Security or pension or other items. You put it in there, and then it runs it through our kind of our pricing scenarios, and it kind of gives you that green, yellow, red mentality around kind of our 3 different unit types. 1, 2-bedroom apartments, cottages, villas, patio homes. So that's a good way to just, hey, can I afford it? What's kind of the cost? Where does that lay? I would say start at Money Gauge. just it's very quick, very simple. I know it's going to ask you for your email. You're probably going to get a call, but honestly, if you just say, hey, I just wanted to see where I kind of fit, it's just a good way just to do that quick litmus test to say, hey, I have $250,000 worth of assets, and I have, make $4,000 a month. Does that even work? Or vice versa, I got $1 million in assets, but I only get $1,800 a month. So everybody's scenario is different.
And that's right on the homepage, isn't it? That Money Gauge?
Yeah, Money Gauge is right on the homepage.
In the right-hand corner, I believe, of the homepage.
Right hand, it's right there.
Right. I've seen it there before.
And if you want to see the pricing, we're fully transparent. Come on out. We'll share the pricing on any unit, anything you want to see, and we'll give you any information that you need to make an educated decision. This is an education series. My main objective here is to educate everyone on this this presentation. So you're an educated consumer, right? You probably purchased a long-term care insurance plan, or maybe you're on here and you're like, I didn't purchase one, but maybe what did I miss out on? Well, now you kind of know there's a life care contract out there that potentially, looks like long-term care insurance. So it's really about making sure that you're educated in what you have, and just being educated on really, the different senior living options that are out there, because there's several different options.
I want to get to as many questions as we can. Real quick, though, if we can go ahead and put up the slide that shows the contact information for Lakeview Village. There is so much going on here, not only about, what we've been talking about today, but just in general. So if you have a question about Lakeview, whether it's about your long-term care policy or something else happening on campus, there's the phone number right there to call, 913-744-2449. You can see there the list of counselors that we have here. If you've got a pen and paper, I hope you do, you can jot down that information. Grab even just one of those phone numbers if you want to, or use the one that I shared, the 744-2449. It'll get you to the right person. The director of marketing is on there. These folks are here all the time, Monday through Friday, ready to help you in any way possible to answer your questions about this or other things. Okay, we're kind of running out of time, so I want to try to get to these. Yeah. Here's a good question. It comes from Richard. He says, I think you touched on this, but Richard is asking about an older policy. He says, I've looked through my policy. It's older. I don't see anything about assisted living. It only refers to skilled nursing. Is that applicable at Lakeview Village?
Great question. Glad he's reading his policy too. In the state of Kansas, this is going to be my caveat. If you're looking in the state of Kansas and what a lot of plans, that some earlier plans truly only defined long-term care and skilled nursing. In the state of Kansas, in Lakeview, domiciled in the state of Kansas, it is required to these policies have to cover an assisted living benefit. So even if his policy clearly defines skilled nursing, if he were to utilize that policy in the state of Kansas, it would be, he would be able to utilize it in assisted living. Other states are a little bit different, and you have to kind of navigate that based on the different rules. I believe Missouri changed their rule a few years ago to also cover assisted living, but you'd have to check into that. It's really, though, for the state of Kansas, they've kind of carved that out because of what these plans have done, and the state of Kansas really defines assisted living as long-term care.
Okay, cool. Nancy's question was one I asked a little earlier, but just in case Nancy joined in late, can someone at Lakeview Village review my long-term care policy with me, even if I haven't decided to move in yet? And I know we touched on that earlier.
Yeah.
It's important though.
Yeah, and the whole sales and marketing team here at Lakeview is very well versed in these long-term care contracts. I kind of mentioned earlier, you probably want to look under the hood of your plan, get that declaration page, kind of bullet point out, write a memo. Here's kind of some of the highlights. Here's who I call. Some of them say, here's my plan coordination number. So there's a number in there that says, here's the person you call when you first start down the journey of potentially utilizing these plans. So come on out, reach out to our team, and if there's something that they can't answer or we can't find out, we they can come to me or we have other resources to kind of navigate through those waters, because every policy is different and there's a lot of insurance language in there. But our team is very well versed in this stuff, so definitely reach out to us. I would say we're pretty in tune to to the different policies.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much, Heath. I want to show that contact information one more time if we can, real quickly, just to make sure everybody has another glance at the counselors' names and their phone numbers and their emails. And again, if you just jot down one of them, that's enough. You can get the information that you need by reaching out to one of those individuals. So Heath, any parting thoughts? You've shared a lot of them today.
I just would invite everybody to come out to Lakeview Village campus. I would say we are a hidden gem back in the neighborhood, very quiet. We're just a hidden gem. I think you really need to come out, drive the community, walk around, and see what we have to offer. And I think usually when people come out, they're really surprised about how great our community is.
It's 100 acres.
It is 100 acres.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thanks to all of you for joining us today. Again, if you see Lakeview Village on your caller ID and you submitted a question, pick up the phone because they want to answer that question for you. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we will see you at the next virtual event or in-person event taking place here at Lakeview Village. Have a great day, everybody.